everyone, I'm Güzel. Welcome to my video. Today I'm going to talk about testing and assessing under the chapter 1. And because of this is the first chapter, it says this lesson aims to create more authentic, intrinsically motivating assessment procedures that are appropriate for their context and designed to offer constructive feedback to students. And this is my content. Firstly, I'm going to give some short information to follow easily the presentation, and then I'm going to talk about what is a test, and I will mention some test types and brief history of tests, approach to language testing, and I'm going to compare testing and assessment. Finally, I'm going to talk about assessment types. Okay, let's start. These are the short information. What is method? Method is a set of techniques, procedures, or items. Measure is a mean for offering the test taker some kind of result. So what is test taker? Test taker is the individual, the person who takes the test, mostly students. And performance, a test measures performance, but the results imply the test taker's ability or competence. So what is a test? Test is a method of measuring a person's ability, knowledge, or performance in a given domain. And tests should be positive experience, should be a person's confidence and become learning experiences, and also tests should be bring out the best in students. On the other hand, tests shouldn't be degrading and artificial and anxiety-provoking. Okay, let's look at the test types. There are some test types, and one of them is proficiency tests. They are overall proficiency in a language, general competence in all skills of a language. And classroom-based performance tests have more specific criteria. For example, a test of pronunciation, a limited set of phonemic minimal pairs, etc., or a vocabulary test. And classroom-based short answer essay test may earn the test taker a letter grade accompanied by the instructor's marginal comment. And last test type is large-scale standardized tests. They provide a total numerical score, a percentile rank, and perhaps some sub-scores. On the other hand, there are some test types also. One of them is norm reference test, and another one is criterion reference tests. Norm reference tests means each test taker's score is interpreted in relation to a mean, median, standard deviation, or percentile rank. The purpose in such tests is to place test takers along the mathematical continuum in rank order. Scores are reported to the test takers in the form of a numerical score, for example, 240 out of 300, etc. For example, UDS, TOEFL, standardized tests are the examples of norm reference tests. These tests are intended to be administered to large audiences, and money and efficiency are primary concerns in these tests. On the other hand, criterion reference tests are designed to give test takers feedback, usually in the form of grades on specific course or lesson objectives. These tests that involve the students in only one class and are connected to a curriculum are typical of criterion reference tests. Much time and effort on the part of the teacher are required to deliver useful, appropriate feedback to students. As opposite to standardized large-scale testing with its emphasis on classroom-based testing, criterion reference testing is of more prominent interest than norm reference testing. Okay, let's look at the history of testing. During the 50s, an area of behaviorism and special attention to constructive analysis, testing focused on specific language elements such as phonological, grammatical, and lexical contrasts between two languages. And during 70s and 80s, communicative theories were widely accepted, a more integrative view of testing. And today, test designers are trying to form authentic, wild instruments and simulate real-world interaction. And there are some approaches to language testing. They are distinguished point testing, integrative testing, communicative language testing, and performance-based assessment. Okay, let's look at the testing and assessment. Let's compare them. Tests are prepared administrative procedures that occur and at identifiable times in a curriculum. When tested, learners know that their performance is being measured and evaluated. When tested, learners master all their facilities to offer peak performance. Tests are a subset of assessment. They are only one among many procedures and tasks that teachers can be ultimately use to assess students. Tests are usually time constrained and draw on a limited sample of behavior. On the other hand, assessment is an ongoing process that encompasses a much wider domain. A good teacher never cases to assess students, whether those assessments are incidental or intended. Whenever a student responds to a question, offers a comment, or tries out a new word or structure, the teacher subconsciously makes an assessment of the student's performance. Assessment includes testing. Assessment is more extended and it includes a lot of components. And let's look at informal and formal assessment. Informal assessments are incidental, unplanned comments or response. For example, nice job, well done, good work, or broke or break. Did you say can or can't, etc.? These are incidental, unplanned comments. Or putting a smile on some homework. Classroom tasks are designed to elicit performance without recording results and making fixed judgments about a student's competence. Example of recorded assessment, marginal comments on papers, maybe responding to a draft of an essay, advice about how to better pronounce a word, or examples of unrecorded assessment, marginal comments on papers, responding to a draft of an essay, or advice about how to better pronounce a word, or suggestion for a strategy for a reading difficulty, etc. And on the other hand, formal assessments are exercises on procedures specifically designed to tap into a storehouse of skills and knowledge. They are systematic, planned sampling techniques constructed to give teacher and student an appraisal of student achievement. All tests are formal assessments, but not all formal assessment is testing. For example, a student's journal or portfolio of materials can be used as a formal assessment. Lastly, let's look at the function of an assessment. There are two functions of an assessment: formative and summative assessment. Formative assessment, evaluating students in the process of forming their competences and skills with the goal of helping them to continue that growth process. It provides the ongoing development of the learner's language. For example, when you give a student a comment or a suggestion or a call attention to an error, that feedback is offered to improve the learner's language ability. Virtually all kinds of informal assessments are formative. On the other hand, summative assessment, it aims to measure or summarize what a student has grasped and typically occurs at the end of the course. It doesn't necessarily point the way to future progress. For example, final exams in a course and general proficiency exams are summative assessment. All tests, formal assessment, are summative. For example, quizzes, midterm exams are summative. And there is an important point. As far as summative assessment is considered in the aftermath of any test, students tend to think that, wow, I'm glad that's over. Now I don't have to remember that stuff anymore. Like this, an ideal teacher should try to change this attitude among students. A teacher should instill a more formative quality to his or her lessons, and should offer students an opportunity to convert tests into learning experience. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching. See you.